All right, as you guys just saw, we started disassembling this thing. All the fluids are draining out of it. Intercooler is currently the last thing it needs to drain, so that I can take the tank out to make more room. Turbo's off. Everything's in great shape. Everything's come off real easy, so that's good. So I'm gonna lift this back up as soon as the intercooler is done draining, just so I don't spill it everywhere, and take the drive shaft out and take the cross under pipe for the turbo manifold out, down pipe, pretty much everything that's gonna be in the way of taking this out. I haven't decided if I'm gonna take the transmission out separately, thinking I might, just because it's gonna make it a lot easier. This upper radiator support, or I don't know, it's not supporting a radiator, but this support here doesn't come out, so picking the engine up at this angle to get it out, it's tight. So I gotta play around with that. So it's coming along. Everything looks great though, which is always good. Nothing broken, cracked. There's no leaks. So, all right. So we have the mid pipe out. Yes, the drive shaft is still in there. I'll get to that in a second. I unbolted the part of the shifter assembly I had to. This rubbing right here was from when we first initially fired this thing up. That was rectified. I think I mentioned that in one of the old videos. Down pipe is loose. That comes out from the top. Everything under here is detached. I left the cross under pipe attached because I'm gonna try to pull this out in one go. It's gonna be tight, but that's what I wanna do. And the reason I wanna do that is it's just gonna be easier. Having to support all of this, the transmission, and then having to tie off the engine, that's how we put it together. It's just a pain in the ass. So I'd really like to try to just get it all out in one go. If it ends up being harder than, you know, breaking it in two, then I guess is what it is. I just think it's going to be a bit easier. And then we're going to do the drive shaft. That can just stay in there. We'll tie it off after we get the engine out. The input shaft will just slide out. And then when we go to put it back in, we just pop that back into the transmission. Bang, bang, boom. That's all done. So yeah, I think I'm going to try to pull it out in one go. Which, if that's the case, it's ready to come out. Obviously, the mounts have to get undone. But other than that, it's ready to come out. So I just disconnected the crank sensor, which is the only sensor plugged in down here. Up top, I have the harness disconnected. And as we pull the engine and stuff forward, I'll see if there's anything I forgot, which I don't think there is. The oil that came out was actually in good shape. It wasn't glittery or anything. We didn't have a bearing failure, so that doesn't really surprise me any. Coolant was a good color. Gear oil was brand new. I mean, which it should be, considering the mileage that was on it. What really amazes me is these plastic sway bar spacers that we made are still on there and still in one piece. Those are supposed to be temporary, but they're working. So, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's where we're at. Engine's ready to come out. All right, waiting on help to get the engine up, but we're gonna start putting this long block together. I already got the windage tray on. I've been cleaning stuff, so upper oil pan has been cleaned. I have the factory service manual stuff printed out for assembling the engine. It's always good to have this, even though things like the head stud torque is gonna be different than factory. Everything else is going to be factory. So what I wanna do is get the upper oil pan on, get oil pump on the front, start getting everything sorted out here, and then we'll flip it over and we'll put the heads on. Once the heads are on, we're gonna pop the cams in and we're gonna measure for our cam clearances, I should say valve lash. Make sure that if we need to replace any of these buckets, we can do that before I start putting everything else together. I could do that with the heads off. It's just so much easier when they're on here to do that, to get the measurements. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's get that on. So my dumbass forgot to order a remain seal. It's kind of important. And I also need to order new oil pump bolts because they went missing between here and the machine shop. Not sure how. So those will be in later. So I guess what we're gonna do is flip this thing over and put the heads on it. I was just hoping to have the pan on it and both pans on it, I should say, but that ain't happening. So is what it is. Flip this thing over and get going on the deck. So off camera, I got the block guard in, everything's flat, there's room, the other one's in too. So now we're gonna clean this. It's been checked by the machine shop, it's dead flat. So now we're gonna clean both contact surfaces and then throw the head studs and head gaskets on, and then we'll torque down the heads. So at least that'll get done. Called Nissan rear main seal assembly. Won't be here until Tuesday. Today is Saturday. And then the bolts will be here on Tuesday as well. So it kind of is what it is. But yeah, so we're gonna clean the deck and then we'll get the heads put on, and then hopefully we can figure out if we need to order any of these lash caps and then figure out which ones we have to order, because Nissan does not make that an easy process. So, all right, we got the head studs in. We pop the head gaskets in and then put the heads on. So that's a big chunk of this that's about to be done. All right, both heads are on and torqued down. I'm out of breath. I'm gonna swap these out. But the next step is toss the cams in and measure for that. All right, so we got our Tomei cams resting in there. I'm gonna go ahead and just put some oil on all the journals before I bolt the caps down, so that as I rotate them, we're not wearing anything out. The cylinders are all in a neutral position, so the valves aren't going to hit anything while I turn the cams, so that takes care of that. And from here, it's just writing down and doing a bunch of math. So I'm not going to force you guys to watch that, so see how we make out. All right, so that's the engine and tranny out of the car. I had the owner come help me do that. I have all of the measurements off of the camshafts. So next what has to happen is I need to take the cams out, take all the buckets out, get their measurements, and then start doing the equations to see if we need to order any buckets. From what I'm looking at right now, there's only about six that are on the questionable side. So we'll take it out, do some math, see if we can figure that out. And then if we have to order buckets, then we're kind of at a standstill on this thing. So yeah, that's where we're at. All right, did the math. We have 9 buckets we need to replace. Unfortunately, none of them are gonna be able to be swapped around. So that sort of is what it is. So I'll have to call Nissan and order those up tomorrow, because today is a Sunday. So we'll order those tomorrow. For the time being, this is kind of stuck because I can't put the cams in. Still waiting on stuff to put the pan on. So we're kind of stuck. What we can do is I can start taking stuff off of here, like the turbo manifold and everything we're going to reuse, injectors, all that stuff can get taken off and put aside. Sensors need to be swapped over. I need to do the NOx sensor down there. We can do the lower plenum and things like that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So that's going to be it for, I think, this episode, because it's going to be a couple days till we can get anything more serious done. So make sure you do what my daughter says.
Like and subscribe, guys.